we don't really know what we're giving out, and that is a huge concern. And I think that's what Google and all these companies realize now is they have so much power in their hands. There's so many data breaches. Cybersecurity is a problem. It's increasing cost. And then on the consumer end, we're not really protected. And yes, I want more specific advertisement, but I also want the choice to do that. And a cookieless future does not mean that you don't have the choice in the future to be able to tell a company, this is my data. But right now, what cookies do is that you just get tracked everywhere. Nowhere you go online are you technically private. Like your search history is not private. Your way that you interact is not private. And I think that is a huge fundamental flaw because the way the internet was created and the way the laws were created back in the day, we didn't think about those things because we didn't know where it was going to go. And it grew so fast that policies and all these things never caught up. And if you listen to the Senate hearings when they were talking about Facebook and Google and all these stuff, it's embarrassing. Yeah, like they're like, how do you guys make money? They're like, advertising. Like you guys are a free platform. Like how do you? I'm like, they run ads, billions of dollars, and that's how they're so wealthy. So. Live. All right, welcome to the Brew. I'm your host, Valtteri Salamäki. I'm very excited to hear what the translator software we have is going to change my name this week. But we're also joined today with Luis, and what we're going to be talking about is cookies. And not your good old grandma's cookies.
We might be getting into those cookies.
Well, we might be. I mean, I don't know if you have any good cookie.
There.
If you have any good cookie recipes,
I do.
We could talk about it. But we're really talking about data privacy and how you get tracked online and some crazy things that are currently happening and have been in constant orbit in the last year. And there's been battles between like Apple and Google and Facebook and all these different companies about data privacy and what they're allowed to track and what that really means for the future, not only just for the consumer side, but also the advertiser side, especially like how that impacts us as digital marketers. But on the consumer side, understanding how these are being used, because I feel like a lot of people don't even know what cookies are.
No one knows what cookies are. But it's like the most important thing in the world, or at least for everything, for everybody, advertisers, publishers, consultants like us. That's kind of what we need to make sure that we're actually getting some metrics. Before we get into what cookies are, though, what is your favorite cookie?
Damn. I didn't think I was going to get these hard questions today, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I didn't wake up today thinking
You can tell a lot about a person based off of what their favorite cookie is. And you're gonna hear mine and you're going to say, that tracks.
See, like, nothing's wrong with this, like, a really good chocolate chip
What's
cookie.
Your favorite? What's the cookie, though, that if you were presented with a flight of cookies, we're talking every cookie you can imagine in your head right now, what's the cookie you would grab? Like, what's the cookie you'd be like, if I get one cookie out of this bunch?
White chocolate macadamia nut.
You're a white chocolate macadamia guy. Okay, yeah. That tracks.
I'm pretty white chocolate if you...
Yeah. Mine is oatmeal raisin. Or any kind of... okay, there we go. Any kind of oatmeal in conjunction with any kind of pruned fruit. Oatmeal cranberry, fantastic. Oatmeal raisin, great. I had oatmeal... I was like a dry date one time, and that was phenomenal. Like a oatmeal date.
Don't get me wrong, they're good. I just can't it's not like going to be my first choice. But if you have like a really fresh batch of like oatmeal cookies and just have in front of me, I will eat all of them.
No, I will pick that out of the bunch. I don't know what it is. I think it's the oatmeal, honestly, that gets me. But the date, I love pruned fruits. I think that's just me. I'm a weirdo. I'm like a 80-year-old man at heart, I think.
You are. Yeah, you are. It's all good. But what are cookies? What are actual? Okay, we talk about actual cookies.
Data cookies.
What are data cookies?
So I mean, the way I define, I don't think I got like the Webster's dictionary of cookies in my brain. My definition of cookies is literally just kind of how you are being tracked throughout the internet. So the way I imagine it in my head, my elementary school explanation of it is literally imagine that you're like they're bright trails basically. As you are browsing the internet, going website to website, site to site. You are leaving behind little tiny breadcrumbs of who you are, and that data can be linked back to you in a very clear and defined way. So that's a really dumbed down explanation of what it is. It's basically breadcrumbs that lead back to you, that you leave all over the internet. And you can clear your cookies and you can clear your cache, as people say, like, if you cleared your cookies, you cleared your cache. Yep. All that basically means is you're kind of going back and you're gathering those breadcrumbs. But if someone has you in like an audience pool, like has your data in an audience pool, you're not going to take that data from them. Like you're already in there. All you're really doing is doing it for yourself, so that it for me at least, it doesn't make any sense why you would clear your cookies. I get cache, but cookie clearing never makes sense to me because if I go back to a website and I had something in my cart, your cookie does that for you.
Yep.
That at the end of the day is like if I leave something in a cart and I forget about the website for a long time and I go back to it. So as long as the cookies didn't get cleared out, that's still going to be my cart because it can trace back to who I am if I'm on my laptop or what it is, So yeah, I don't clear your cookies, just clear your cache. That's my PSA. But that's basically what cookies are. It's just breadcrumbs that track you all throughout the website, track your actions, what you're doing, how long you're there. And fun one, the way it relates to advertisers. I mean, this, I'm fucking talking to a wall at this point, but the way it relates to advertisers, I'm going to talk to the camera now. The way it relates to advertisers is we basically, let's say you land on one of our clients' pages that we're managing their ad on, right? And we're collecting basically data to then retarget to you. Let's say you put some stuff in your cart, or let's say you just are really interested in the stuff, like you scroll around, you do a lot of clicks. I mean, if you want to say data analyst, I guess, on the data end, I basically set up tags and tracking metrics that will ping every time actions are being done, and you get pooled together into a certain audience. Once you're pooled into an audience, I can then retarget and send ads and send marketing collateral your way in one way, shape, or form, whether that's like YouTube ads, display ads, your Instagram ads. Try this. Literally go onto any big website, put something in your cart, chill on there for a long time, and then leave. I guarantee you're going to start seeing display ads, you're going to see banner ads, you're going to start seeing more Instagram ads for that brand, et cetera, et cetera. That's cookies at work. And that's kind of what they are and how they're utilized by, companies like ours and literally every other digital data company.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what cookies is cookies is a browser tracking metric that allows the company to understand that you visited their site and how you behave on their website and how you got there and where you go after there. So it builds this persona around you. And obviously, like, Google owns all that. I mean, every single person, like if you're going through Chrome browser, you usually are logged in with a Gmail. They can tie every single back to a single Gmail account, which ties to you as a user, which then they can take your phone number. They can cross-layer data. It's pretty crazy what they can do and understand like what your behaviors are. And that allows companies such as Facebook and Google, for the advertiser side, if we're trying to run ads and say, find me, 1 million people that have these characteristics and these kinds of behaviors, or they have the intent to buy this, or they want to do that. That's how Google and Facebook are able to know who's actually has the intent, who's trying to buy something, who's interested in a certain service. And as advertisers, the way that we use them is to try to design journeys that align with people that actually are interested. And keep in mind, like there's the downside of cookies is obviously data privacy, and they know a little too much about you, and it's a little too far. If you know how to set up like your browsers, you can block them. You could block cookies if you wanted to. It's just a little bit more complicated, and it requires you to add certain blockers and all these kinds of things. But it does allow for more curated advertising, and we talked about this in the past before. It's like, look, me as a consumer, I'm cool if I get an ad for something I really care about. Like if it's something that really is interesting to me, or if I went to a website and I completely forgot about it and they hit me with an ad of like, by the way, we have this discount right now and all these kinds of things, like, okay, maybe I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I'm, especially in the United States, as consumerism, I think that works really well. I personally don't buy a lot of stuff. I don't spend a lot of money. So it usually doesn't work on me with ads, but I'm curious, do you think that those retargeting and stuff like that, have they ever actually got you to buy something before?
I'm trying to think. So I've never.
I know it got Nikhil. He got Huel because of it.
He got. I don't think it's so. No. My quick answer is no. My explanation for that is, unless I'm already in the market for something, and I have an idea in my head of what the check marks that I need are, I'm not gonna buy. Like I'll look at it and I'll look at like what it is. I'll be like, oh, cool. Like this is that. And now I'm going to add it into a spreadsheet that breaks down its features. I'm a dork. Breaks down its features, and I'm going to compare it, and then I'm going to see what the best bang for my buck is. So I mean, yes and no, because it puts something on my radar, but I've never directly purchased something through a retargeting ad.
That makes
myself.
sense. I mean, at the end of the day, advertising's job is not to necessarily create sales. It's actually to reinforce thought. So like, it's to consistently reinforce and make you think about something. And that's why like things like Super Bowl commercials are so expensive, but the ROI is actually really good on it because you have everybody's attention. They're actually looking forward to seeing ads for the first time in their lives versus every other time you're watching TV, you hate ads. You don't want to watch them.
Unless it's Quibi.
Unless it's, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. That would be a 6
I was
hour
going through my brain and I was like, what was that company called again?
Yeah. But the thing when it comes to advertising in general, if you go to a website, right, most likely you're going to see an ad after you go onto that website about 10 to 20 more times.
A bunch.
The reason why is because the average person has to see an ad 7 times before they even react to it, before they even click on it or they do anything. So minimum 7 times for them to do an action. So usually they do about 10 to 20. 20 is kind of overbarging. I think they're wasting a lot of money if they're running that to 20 times and you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
But every single time you click on it, it resets that number. And they're going to try to retarget you with a new ad and a new ad, make it kind of part of a journey. So there's a pro to it.
Yeah.
But where we're heading right now is Apple has started taking data privacy very seriously. And they're trying to do this huge kind of like push of like, okay, you as a consumer, you own everything. And that created a huge backlash because they quickly changed the rules for how iOS is allowed to be tracked via Facebook. So
the App Store is completely different now. Yeah.
So the Pixel no longer with Facebook. So Google uses something called tags, and then Facebook uses something called pixels. So both of them are literally just a dot of code, like literally just a line of code on your website, on any website, and you can track all the behaviors because as that website loads, they're able to take that data and see how you as a user are using stuff.
Yep.
Apple decided to say if anybody's using their phones on iOS and they go onto a website, Pixel, unless it has been like you do these certain steps ahead of time, you as a user can choose to say, I don't want them to track me, and they're no longer able to do exactly what we're talking about with cookies to actually retarget you and run ads.
Yeah.
There was a huge kind of like a back and forth backlash because the transition was pretty quick. Like it was a pretty
it was like half of an iOS update.
Yeah, it was a really quick move.
Half of a software
in 6
series.
months, advertisers had to kind of like it's still kind of rolling out right now. So advertisers are still trying to figure out like how do we target people on iOS, how we're creating new campaigns and stuff like that. And I remember, and I agree with this to a certain extent. I just think it's super funny that Facebook was right away was like, we're helping the small business. Like, no, dude, they're like 1% of your advertisers. Calm down with this.
Yeah.
But it is true that it does hurt small businesses because. Small businesses retargeting metrics and retargeting engagement is one of the cheapest and easiest ways for them to get new customers. So by eliminating the ability to target people on iOS in the United States, I think iPhone users like 55% of the population. You just lost that in the US.
Yeah.
Globally, iPhone is only I think
it's like third.
It's only like 38% of the population.
iOS is second, but I'm saying like Apple as a whole is like third. I think it's like
on uses of actual devices. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like Huawei and then Samsung.
Huawei, Samsung, and then it goes.
And then
I think Samsung, Huawei like go back and forth every year.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because of that, right? Like you're missing out now on like half the population that you can't reinforce with that retargeting ad. You can only get them to your website with a singular ad, but even then it might not be as targeted anymore. You're not be able to reach as much people anymore, and you might not be able to convert any much. So it does hurt some small businesses, which I think it's the job of Facebook to now educate them on how to then go around that versus saying that screw data privacy and like you're now hurting the small business. Like no, you're just mad because now you don't have these massive corporations that are running billions of dollars ads on your platform that no longer are able to do it. But it is an interesting move now. We are moving into something called a cookieless future, and Google had the same amount of pressure. They had pressure from the consumer market saying, look, we want data privacy. You guys have too much data on us. We don't want to be tracked on all these things. So Google decided to make an announcement that they were going to go cookieless by the end of this year.
At their I.O. this year.
Yeah. And they scared the crap out of major advertisers, major agencies, because it would have redefined how we go about advertising as a whole and how consumers get advertisements, which is a weird, quick, dynamic shift. But the news just came out a couple of days ago, actually I think it came out yesterday, that Google decided to now move it back 2 more years before they do that cookieless move. So not until the end of 2023 are we going to have that cookieless future that you have more data privacy. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on like the pros and cons of this cookieless future. Do you like it? Do you not like it? what do you think advertisers and agencies are going to have to figure out and do? Because I have my own take on it, but I'm really curious to hear what your take on is this cookieless push. Is that a good, bad? Like, I mean, obviously there's both sides to the equation.
Yeah, I think okay, I'm gonna start with my quick answers again. I think it's good. I think it's the right move, and I think to your point on, Apple did it really quick. Google wanted to do it really quick, but got so much pushback that now they're doing it. They're trickling it. They're doing it really slowly in a kind of 3-year period. And this point gets tossed around so often that I mean, it's kind of a whatever statement now. But at the end of the day, Apple's a hardware company. Google is a software company.
Yeah.
Apple can do those hard switches because their money. Yeah, they make billions of dollars on the App Store, but they might lose out on 10-20% of their billions of dollars that they make on the App Store. Boohoo. They're still making a lot of money. Most of their money still is coming from hardware.
And they're also reinvesting into things like they're actually trying to now go into smart cars and stuff like that. So they are reinvesting to other hardware applications, leveraging their software versus having their software be the central source of the revenues.
Yeah, quick little tangent on that. Do you know what happened with their talks with them and Hyundai? Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, so Hyundai and Apple were in talks to make a car. Yeah. All electric, autonomous, kind of like a Tesla, right? Where you could drive it, but it also had autonomous features because Hyundai's driver assistance is actually really good.
Yep.
So Hyundai was like, "Yep, we're on board, 100%. Let's do it." And Apple was like, "Cool, fantastic. We'll design the car. We'll do everything. We just need your platform." And Hyundai was like, "No, give us the software. We're making our car. It's going to be an Apple car. It's just going to have all of your software. You're going to do, all you're doing is the software." And Apple's like, "No, we're making the hardware and the software. Like, we're doing both, but we need you to sell it as like a Hyundai branded kind of vehicle." And Hyundai basically told them to fuck off. Because, Hyundai basically said no. Their thought going into the conversation was that Apple was just going to give them the software. Like, it was going to be total, like, Apple immersion, Apple kind of thing where, like, you get in, your iPhone just wirelessly connects. You might be able to unlock the car, start the car with your phone. But it's going to be a Hyundai car. I'm assuming that they probably wanted to make it one of the Ioniqs because that's their new electric ones that they're coming out with. And Apple thought that Hyundai had agreed to just literally give them the Ioniq platform. I'm assuming, again, it might not be an Ioniq platform, but give them a platform, and then Apple would literally design the car, build the car, test the car, everything. But Hyundai would only get licensing rights, not seller rights to the actual vehicle. And Hyundai was like not having it. So their talk went from super promising, it's going to happen, to Hyundai said, "Get out of here. Don't talk to me." So that's a fun little conversation. So literally right now, who knows what's going to happen with the Apple car? I'm sure they have a design that they have already. Yeah. But who's going to build it? No idea. So kind of going back now. Apple hardware, Google software. That's why Google has to be able to prime people for this kind of stuff. But I think going cookieless, making it a lot harder to track people is a good thing at the end of the day. I've told you this before. I don't care about my data privacy. Because I really value convenience, like a lot, more than I should, to the point where, like, if I could just give Google all my information and just have them hit me with super targeted ads, have them hit me with things that are just relevant to me, where I'm not getting hit with dumb stuff that doesn't make any sense, then I'd do the 100%. Just because I don't want to see things that I don't need. Yep. And at the same time, it just makes my life more convenient. I like it when my iPhone's a little different, but like back when I had an Android phone, I liked it when, I would get home and it would automatically make it so my phone doesn't lock anymore. And I could just swipe my phone up because it says, "Oh, you're home now." I'm giving up data because I'm telling Google where I am. I liked it when it would be 4:00 and it would tell me, "Hey, it's gonna take you so long to get home," and it's like, rad. You know what time I get home, and you're giving me traffic updates. Cool, that's fine because I am leaving right now. Thank you for telling me how long I'm going to be in traffic for. I'm willing to give those things up for those convenience kind of things like that. But I also get that data breaches are becoming more of a thing because hackers are getting really good at it. Yeah. Like really, really good at it. So it's one of those things where, like, at what point do the trade-offs not make any more sense? Because obviously these companies are careless with the data. They're just getting as much as they can and not caring about it, and then it gets lost. I mean, I was a part of the Equifax data breach. Dude, do you think I care about my data now? My social security's out there somewhere in some weird database. My previous addresses, my phone number, my name, all that stuff's already out there in that Equifax data breach. And all Equifax did is say, hey,
sorry, here's some credit monitoring.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, here's a free credit monitoring software. Or you could join the class action and get all of 15 cents. Yeah. You know, so it's one of those things where, I mean, like it or not, your stuff's out there. Like go to what's the website's like. I think it's like I've been pwned or you've been pwned.com. I think just type that into Google and I'm sure it'll come up with the right one. But you literally just put your email address in and it'll tell you every single data breach you've been a part of. I did it once and I haven't done it again since because it literally was like like all these data breaches that I was a part of. I was a part of Target's data breach. I was a part of Equifax's data breach. I was a part of the PayPal data breach. I was a part of like literally every big data breach I was a part of. So I'm like, what does it?
You a punch card, dude.
Yeah, honestly, what does it matter? Like at this point, like people are like, "Ooh, I don't want them to know that I like oatmeal raisin cookies." Like, dude, they trust me. They know a lot more than that. Like they have it already. If someone wanted to use it nefariously, they would. That's just me and my weird nihilistic outlook on data. But moving into the future, my thing that makes me happy is if less data is being collected on the company side, right? So like if you as Google are not being able to get as much data from me, then the only thing that means is that we're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to go backwards, but in a present tense, in the sense of it's gonna be more based on influencer kind of stuff. Yeah. It's gonna be based on organic influence and thought leadership.
Yep.
That to me is, I think, what the future is going to be with Cookieless. Is going to be this kind of thing where you're going to see anybody with an audience, no matter how big, no matter how small. Obviously, the bigger you're going to see, like you're going to see your big companies. I don't know, like Deloitte. These companies are going to go after the millions. People who have like millions of followers to go after their bigger brands. Like if Pepsi wanted to put an ad out, they're going to partner up with who's the one, Kylie Jenner, that did the bad Pepsi ad where Kendall. It was Kendall?
No, she did tequila one now.
Oh, good for her. Perfect. Now it's hitting home for me. So yeah, it's that's where it's going. And I personally like influencer marketing a lot more than regular digital marketing, just because if I'm doing research on something, I like knowing. And there's a good side and a bad side. I like knowing that the person who I'm watching a video for or I'm reading an article about has used the product and has experienced the product.
How do you know they used the product?
Well, that's the thing. It's a good. There's a kind of trade-off here, where it could just be a complete puppet, where it's like here's the article, publish it on your blog. But the beauty of it is, unless you're relying entirely on one source, which please don't. You have other people to verify that kind of thing. It's one of the reasons why if you go on like RottenTomatoes.com, there's a critic score and an audience score. I always go unless I'm gonna go see like one of those like put on your snobby glasses and sit back and don't talk at all during the movie. I look at the critic score. Like if I see any A24 movie, I look at the critic score. If I see anything from like Denis Villeneuve, I look at the critic score. If I see anything from, insert whatever fantastic director is going on now, look at the critic score. But if I'm going to go see Fast 9, I'm not going to look at the critic score. Why would I do that? I'm looking at the audience score, There's two sources and you have that two thing. I'm going into the movie to shut my brain off and look at the explosions and hear the Iron Giant talk to me for a little bit, that's what I'm going for. So that's where it's going for me, at least in my brain. It's going to go back to influencer marketing. It's going to go back to conversational marketing. It's going to go back to your average in the 50s where you would have a dude knock on your front door and say, check out this sweet vacuum that I have here.
Well, I say get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, but digitally, So instead of it being like, someone literally knocking on your door and being like, hey, check out this sweet vacuum that I have, it's going to be someone knocking on your phone screen or knocking on your computer screen or television screen and saying, hey, check out this sweet vacuum that I have. I've been using it for, so and so months. It's fantastic. And I think you should have it too.
Yeah.
And here's why. And if I am someone who is in the need for a vacuum and I say, wow, you know what, my vacuum does actually suck, maybe I'm going to look at that Dyson. Maybe I'm going to look at that, iRobot robot vacuum that is mapping out my home and, putting it in a database somewhere as well. Like these little, these other things that are also happening. That's where I think it's going. I think it's a good thing. I think that the way that social media and the way that digital marketing has gone has become very isolationist in the sense of it's very you-centric. Like, you need this product, get this product, this is going to make your life better. As opposed to collective, where it's, I have used this product, it can make all of our lives better. And that's kind of the trade-off that we've had in the digital age, I think, where when it was in person, someone coming to your door, shopping it to you, or me telling you like, hey, or you telling me like, oh man, I can't, like, if you tell me like, oh man, I can't like cook chicken breast to save my life. My oven is always getting weird. I'm going to tell you, go get an air fryer. Like, this is the air fryer that I have. I got it at Costco. Go buy it. And you're going to be like, oh, neat. So next time you're at Costco, you might say, hey, look, there's the air fryer that Luis has. I'm going to buy it because now I can cook delicious chicken breast and not even worry about it. It's going to be perfectly cooked every time. I think that's where it's going. It's going more conversational again, like it was in the past, or like it is currently with face-to-face kind of marketing, with your regular kind of organic face-to-face stuff. And I like that, me personally. I don't know what your opinion on that is. What do you see it going towards?
I don't think it's going to go that far a conversation like you do. But I think what's going to happen is I'm all for cookieless, to be honest. Like, I think on a couple of reasons. One, I think it's ridiculous how much data these companies have on individuals. I mean, I agree with you. Like, when it comes to Google, like, look, if you can make my life better and more convenient, I already know you can get that data, so it's like whatever. But at the same time, my entire philosophy when it comes to data is that we are providing value to a company, they should pay for it. So my whole thing is that there should be
the Brave browser.
You should have the ability to be able to choose what data goes. Right now, we don't have the choice.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like the internet's free. Really, it's not, because what you're doing is you're providing so much data, and data is gold nowadays. The decisions you can make.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical companies can understand how, like, from health data, they can create new pharma. Like, there's a pro to it, but there's a major con, because you never really gave permission for all the data you give out. And don't get me wrong, all the websites have like, we have cookies, do you accept? I'm like, of course I'm going to say yes, because I want to buy a product here, but I don't have a choice of where that data is going to go afterwards. I don't have a choice what's going to happen here. They might have their terms and privacies, but how many times have you actually read that? How many times, like, let's think of the old days of Apple, right? Like when we got like our first like iTouches and iPhones and stuff like that, right? Nobody read those terms. We probably all
Any
sold.
of the EULAs? No.
Dude, we probably all sold our soul. Like
Some
that.
lawyer, like the South Park episode where you turn into the human centipede or whatever it was called.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The centipede. Yeah, we're not going that route, but yeah. I mean that's the one thing. It's like, we don't really know what we're giving out, and that is a huge concern. And I think that's what Google and all these companies realize now, is they have so much power in their hands. There's so many data breaches. Cybersecurity is a problem. It's increasing cost. And then on the consumer end, we're not really protected. And yes, I want more specific advertisement, but I also want the choice to do that. And a cookieless future does not mean that you don't have the choice in the future to be able to tell a company, this is my data. But right now, what cookies do is that you just get tracked everywhere. Nowhere you go online are you technically private. Like, your search history is not private. Your way that you interact is not private. And I think that is a huge fundamental flaw, because the way the internet was created and the way the laws were created back in the day, we didn't think about those things because we didn't know where it was going to go. And it grew so fast that policies and all these things never caught up. And if you listen to the Senate hearings when they were talking about Facebook and Google and all these stuff, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it
like, they're like, how do you guys make money? They're like, advertising. Like you guys are a free platform. Like, how do you? I'm like, they run ads, billions of dollars, and that's how they're so wealthy. So it's interesting that route. But where I do think that it's going to go when it comes to both the consumer lens and the advertiser lens, I do agree in the essence that consumers themselves, they're not going to be bombarded with advertisements anymore. I don't think ad spend is necessarily going to go way down. I do think that there's going to be more like display. You're going to see stuff more often in different places, but not like in front of your face thrown at you 24/7. The only concern I have is I think they're going to have to try to find mediums of running specific display ads, because display ads are cheap and you can get them everywhere. It's just based off impressions. It's not based off clicks. So those ads you're going to start seeing in, like, I really hope this never happens, but like in video games too. I know they had conversations about
2K
that.
2K already does that.
I know, but 2K does that to a certain extent. But I'm saying, like, imagine you playing like Apex or like Warzone and stuff like that, and like the billboards and everything like that has, your Coke commercials and all these kinds of things.
Yeah, you'd care for a week, and then you'd be like, oh, there's that Coke ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a nice 360 no scope right there, so it's cool.
Indoctrinate me, you know.
But I do think that influencer marketing in general has grown like ROI value year after year,
Massive.
anyways. But I think it has to be done correctly too, because it doesn't help that people just like, here's a product, and they just talk about, because that comes to the fake side of influencer marketing, where it's like you just pay somebody to say like, go check this out, because that's more dangerous in my opinion, because there's cases of, for example, there's this one guy in Chicago. He's a famous rapper for doing different kinds of like credit card schemes. Like he's a scammer. And he was able to convince like high up rappers to like link one of his pages to get like free iPhones and all these kinds of things for like X amount of money. And he scammed them out of like millions of dollars. But he was able to use influencers to scam people out of getting money.
Hell yeah.
And that part is very concerning to me. I do think that influencer marketing as a whole has a lot of value, especially if it's legitimate and authentic. I think
that's the caveat always.
It has to be authentic, because good example of this is Coca-Cola sponsors the Euro Leagues, like right now in the tournament. Did you see what
Cristiano?
with Ronaldo? Beautiful. He moved the Coca-Cola and he drank water, and Coca-Cola's stock price plummeted.
It plummeted like what, 2%? They lost like $4 billion.
The day after, literally just like
literally
that.
Picked up the water bottle.
But the thing is, then Pogba, the next interview, he did this exact same thing, but with the Heineken bottles, and he drank water. He moved the Heinekens out of the way to drink, and a couple other players did the same exact thing. And all these companies and the sponsorships and shit like that just like from literally,
great.
And I know, and I like, that's what I'm saying is like, it has to become authentic, because that's what's going to happen if it's just like a push onto people, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's one of those things. There have always, since forever, been dumb advertisers that they become sponsors for things that just literally do not align with what they're doing. Coca-Cola should not be sponsored for the Olympics or the Euros or the Copa America or anything like that.
But they did it from this. They were the first ones to pretty much do it, and that's why they became so global dominant. That's why they had market share over Pepsi, but that's why Pepsi's passing them now.
I get it, but I'm saying, like, if they wanted to be honest with themselves, they would be sponsoring like professional cornholing. You know, like if they really wanted to get their target demographic.
That's hard, bro. That's Budweiser.
No, dude, that's Bush. I watched it the other day. That's Bush baked beans, baby. Are you kidding me? What was I watching? I was watching a basketball game. No, I was watching a Euro game.
Yeah.
And it ended, and then I just kept it on ESPN. And then eventually it just cut to professional cornhole. And like an hour or two later, it just cut to professional cornholing, and I was enthralled, dude. Like at how good these people are and like the strategy behind it. But yeah, the only sponsor of the whole entire tournament was Bush Baked Beans. They only had one. And I guarantee you, but like we could probably sponsor a cornholing event, and I think we should, is what I'm saying here. I'm proposing to you that we price out Bush Baked Beans, and we sponsor a professional cornholing league, because that would be hilarious to see our logo on a loose fitting Tama Bahama t-shirt that these guys are wearing.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I was trying to get to when it comes to like where I think advertisers and consumers are going to go is like, we're going to be looking more at, as in, like the direct to direct peer. Like advertising is not going anywhere.
Well, think about TikTok. Essence. Yeah. What is TikTok if not one big influencer fuckfest of people tossing you advertising?
Yes and no. So what?
Except for the really big companies.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I'm trying to get at is like, companies are gonna have to. They're not gonna stop advertising, right?
No, never.
But they're gonna look at advertisements as they did before Facebook and Google were as big as advertisers as they're now, or the ability to be able to do that. They're gonna be looking more on publisher side. So like, let's say. My audience, I want somebody to target that like sports, whatever. So I'm going to find sports podcasts, sports websites, right? And then run display ads on there, because I'm assuming that's the audience that I'm trying to target.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more crossover of alignment and interest. So I don't think ad spend is going to drop that much. I really don't think that. I just think that advertisement as a whole is going to be redefined in the use of it, while influencer marketing is going to be the reinforcements into sales cycles, and then organic traffic and like how you interact with your customers is going to mean a lot more. You can't just like barge ads in front of people and use different tactics to make people want to buy something, you're going to have to start looking at how do we legitimately give something that somebody cares about, which is I'm happy about. Like that actually
100%.
gives smaller companies, the only struggle with is smaller companies just don't have the budgets to do the marketing mix that is required to get traction. But that being said, I think a lot more brands are going to come out of like the grassroots and be able to scale, because companies like Coca-Cola, for example, they've been reliant on the same approach, the same methodology, and expecting that people are still going to drink soda for the rest of their lives. And don't get me wrong, having a Coca-Cola every now and then is good. But like, yeah, I drink water all the time. I drink LaCroix, even though like LaCroix are, they're all right or whatever. But like, still, I'm not gonna have soda that often because I'm more health conscious now.
Yeah, this my real guilty pleasure is San Pellegrinos.
That's a guilty pleasure for you? Man,
it's a guilty. You don't know why it's a guilty pleasure for me? Because they're owned by Nestle, but it's the only good Kirkland's. Like if you buy Kirkland brand, it's still San Pellegrino, but it's just rebranded. It's the same co-packer as San Pellegrino, so they're still using Nestle.
Pretty sure that Coke owns Perrier. Hey, Jamie, can you
can you pull up which of the three conglomerates owns our water?
water?
Nestle owns this though, and I think P&G owns Nestle.
Procter & Gamble owns everything, dude.
I think P&G owns Nestle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nestle's awful. Nestle's a really bad company. Don't buy things from Nestle.
Nestle Water France is Perrier.
So Nestle owns me
Heyo, there you go. Cheers.
Cheers to Nestle, I guess.
Cheers to the exact same company making money off of us in two different ways.
Yeah, but like companies have to evolve, right? Like the thing is like Nestle does a lot of things that piss me off, but a lot of things. But Procter & Gamble as a whole is so smart because they're looking at how consumer trends are, and they are one of the number one advertisers. They have all this data. They understand how people.
P&G, the reason that P&G has been around for as long as they've been around is not because they're not smart.
Yeah.
P&G make decisions that put them in situations where they will thrive.
Yeah.
Like 100%. And that means that they scoop up any companies who they see are on an upward trajectory. They'll even scoop up companies who I guarantee they do acqui-hires all the time.
Yeah.
Where they just bring people, they get a company, gut the company, but keep the leadership and then put them into
other
key roles.
Yeah.
Exactly. Love them or hate them, P&G is a very smart company. And I think that P&G is gonna be around for a long time. It's you have what? There's Procter & Gamble. There's like 4 big companies. Jamie, can you pull up like the 4 big? Can you pull up Nick? Can you pull up the 4 really big companies that like own
everything? Biggest 4 conglomerates.
Yeah, just look up conglomerates who own everything, but make it seem like they don't own everything. Put that into Google.
Oh, is your accounting firms? I think it's like 5, isn't it?
Is it 5?
I think there's 5 major companies that own.
I've seen like the giant
the big web.
Yeah, the big web, and I cried and closed it.
There's Big 5 Tech. Oh, no, here it is.
No.
There it is. I shut my mic.
What do you got?
PepsiCo.
Okay.
PepsiCo's one company?
Yeah, it is.
Is it a conglomerate?
PepsiCo.
Oh, they own like Frito-Lay and
They
everything.
own no, trust me, their portfolio is insane. Like
Is
when
it?
I was working there, I was like, you guys own that too? Like
Jesus
what the
Christ.
hell?
Oh, you would always bring Izzy's, right?
No, I never had Izzy's.
Was it not
They had Izzy's, but I never had Izzy's on me.
Okay, I'm thinking of somebody else who also worked for PepsiCo.
PepsiCo, Nestle, Coke, Unilever.
Unilever, yeah.
Dannon.
Not Dannon.
What does Dannon own?
The Danimals. The yogurt.
Well, I know that, but like that's not gonna make him a conglomerate.
That you don't think that would make
It doesn't
them
look like American brands, TBH. Looks either
International. I mean, so for example,
I mean, P&G is American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Procter & Gamble's American.
yeah. So I mean,
Kellogg.
Kellogg, yeah. Because it really depends on who they're targeting. Because like for example, U.S. market, everybody wants to be in the U.S. market, but if you can dominate the Asian market, for example, one thing that was very interesting that was when I was in Hong Kong was you can get bottle like cans, right? Like you just buy like a nice like a cold brew, right? In Hong Kong, you could buy a hot coffee like literally in a can
It's pretty sick. Wait, hot coffee in a can?
Literally,
is the
like,
can hot?
Yeah, like that's so weird. So like you literally go
Interesting.
like
Do they just shake it really fast to
No,
make
you
the
go to-
friction activate?
you go to a vending machine. They have like a patent around it. There's actually one company that was trying to pitch to bring it to the U.S. on Shark Tank. It was hilarious. They got absolutely destroyed. There's no way people would buy in the U.S. But like
A hot coffee in a can?
no, but like it's very interesting. So like Coca-Cola owns some of them, and there's another brand that owns some of them. But you literally just go, you buy. Nestle owns probably the other ones.
Yeah.
But you you just go to the vending machine, you get it, and it comes in a can. The can's not too hot. It's like it feels lukewarm, but inside of it, it's a hot drink.
Oh, so it's like double insulated.
Yeah, but it's so good, and then it's like such a smart move because they focus on efficiency and speed and
How
getting that
expensive is
volume.
that can? How much do you pay for that? If
mean,
it's insulated like that.
I mean, it's Hong Kong, bro. I didn't pay much for anything, but
so the normal person in Hong Kong, would it be like a pricier beverage to get from
no,
them?
it would be the same thing as you getting out of a vending machine. I mean, don't get me wrong, vending machines aren't cheap anyways. Like it's like $3 for goddamn
True.
drink. But yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because like if you look at these big companies, you look at these smaller companies, and you look at everything that's going to happen when it comes to data privacy and cookieless future, and where on the line what activities are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Ad spend is just going to be pivoted towards reinforcement versus influencers are going to be towards conversion and really looking at like those pockets. Publishers are going to become more evident and more important because publishers are going to have to be the central source of here's our audience and this is our data. Because keep in mind, cookies just means that you're not being able to share data and all these kinds of things, but the company still will know like, you know, what basic things are coming to the website, who their audiences are, who's watching their shows, who's doing this. You can have your own personal analytics because that's your own hub or your own data.
Yeah.
So
100%.
companies and advertisers are going to rely on those publishers to tell them this is our audience. They're going to start spending more money to them. Podcasters will probably get a lot of money because podcast conversion rates on sales are insanely high.
Yeah.
And influencers have to be more authentic. I think the way that we got, I think it's died down a little bit, but we went to this huge spike of influencers of being just full of shit. So like now it's kind of becoming more and more legitimate in certain avenues. I think there's still a good amount of crappy influencer marketing that is out there. But it's evolving because like advertisers, everybody's getting smarter about it. Agencies are figuring out how to use this well. And then social media, I think the more authentic people are becoming now, the better companies are going to survive and succeed versus kind of pushed in front of you. And like you talked about, you need this. It's now it's like, look, this out there, this solves this fundamental problem for these types of people.
Yep.
Are you interested? And this is how we differentiate from everybody else. Then you go check it out. And the rest of the process has to make sense. But I think that's kind of where the whole future is going to go towards with this cookieless stuff, with data privacy becoming more and more of a thing. And I really do hope that data privacy gets to the point where we as consumers have the choice to say, you get that data, but give us a little bit of the money. Like just give us a couple cents for us providing that data out to everybody based off, I like this, I like that, survey data, actual accurate data.
Yeah.
I would like to see that balance.
Yeah, the thing about it is like, so I tried, and I know we've talked about this a long time ago, but the Brave browser, where you would get their crypto, the Brave coin or whatever the hell it was called, where they pay you every time that your data gets tracked, or for using the browser that they have. The only thing is, and I want to bring this up at the beginning when we're talking about like Apple and Google and stuff, but the only thing is like, I cannot use their browser.
Yep.
I can't. I'd love to. Like I've tried, you know, back when I cared a little bit about data privacy. I cared a lot of it, and then I just said, what's the point? And then here I am, you know. But you know, I would use. I mean, I still have a VPN, and I use it pretty often. But you know, I would have a VPN. I would be using DuckDuckGo as my search. What was it? Search engine.
Yep.
And I'd be using either Firefox because they're pretty good about data privacy, or I'd be using Brave or even Tor, you know? But it just was not good.
Yep.
Like the experience was like my website's loaded slow, and obviously like that's because there's so many layers that I'm adding to me just pinging a website that obviously was going to happen. But like even when I had to work, all of the extensions that I need are on Chrome.
Yep.
Everything is there. So it's to the point now where like I've been thinking recently about having Chrome be my work browser and then Safari, because now the Apple, what they're pushed with privacy, have Safari be my be my personal browser. But then I run into the problem of I don't just have Apple products. I use a Windows computer for most of the work that I do. So it's, you know, I'm gonna download Safari for for my Windows computer. No, so I have Chrome because it just makes my life that much easier. I think down the line, if I legitimately could just centralize everything and just use Apple products, then I would like to do that.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I personally, it would just be a hassle for me that I'm not willing to like invest in. But yeah, man, data privacy, like moving forward, like I said, I think we're both on the same page that it's going to go more towards like influencer kind of thing, where like the human being is the one telling you something, and it's not just the brand.
Yeah.
There's going to be a level of separation where instead of it being the brand speaking to you, because people don't like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People don't take too kindly to a brand being the one to tell you like, check this out.
Yep.
Like, look at this. Like, of course the brand's not going to say like, oh, you know, there's some better options out there, but you know, ours is pretty good. No, the brand is not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The person who maybe is a part of a sponsored kind of thing, comparing other services, but they actually have your service on top in some way, shape, or form through actual comparison, not just like BS, but like through actual rigorous comparison, showing that they like your product better. That I think will track and will convert a lot higher than anything at all. I mean, that's why you see, like you mentioned, podcasters, you know, use code blah, 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 and, you know, get 10% off, get 50% off, get X% off, or, you know, get this, get that, get those things for free by using the coupon code. And you're correct. The what is it? The return on ad spend, the ROAS, or whatever the heck it is massive when it comes to that stuff, because it's not the brand telling you about it. It's the person who is using the product through that brand that tells you about it. You talk about, does retargeting at the beginning of this, you told me, does retargeting have an effect on you?
Yeah.
No, I answered. But does influencer marketing have an effect on me? Absolutely. The YouTube channel that I've been watching them for years, like back when I was in high school, and to now they've left the company and they've started their own thing, but it's Internet Today. They used to work for Machinima. They used to do ETC Daily.
Good old Machinima.
Yeah, good old Machinima. And then they left Machinima right before it went, and they started their own thing, and they've been doing that. I support them. Like I'm on Patreon. They don't do Patreon, but I support them on YouTube. Like I'm part of their like membership thing.
Yeah.
And like whenever they bring up a product, I'm like, oh, neat, because like I've been watching them for so long, and I feel as though like it's one of those things. I am very much a part of the audience of that influencer.
Yeah.
You know, and especially if I know about the product that they talk about, and they are now sponsored by the product that they talk about, I'm way more likely to be like, wow, maybe I should get that product that I was thinking about getting X long ago. For a long time I was using Nord VPN just because it was cheap.
Yeah.
But then their prices went up, and then they were sponsored by ExpressVPN, and it was about the same price, a little bit more, but it gave me more licenses. It gave me up to 5, where Nord was just 2. So my desktop and my phone, and then my laptop would kind of get left in the dust. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do their thing. I need a VPN, so I'm just going to switch over to their stuff, and then I signed up for their stuff. Like more often than not, that's kind of the way that my brain works. I'm not so easily swayed by a company, but I am a lot more willing to be swayed if it's an influencer whose opinion I value. So that's why I think like I like to look at things like I look at myself as like a litmus test for like where stuff is going, because I'm in marketing every day. Like I know how things are transitioning. I know how things are going. I know the news, the new things that are coming out, what's trending, what's not trending, what's old news, what's new news. What are dumb companies doing? What are smart companies doing?
Yep.
Like I'm reading these articles. I'm constantly kind of in this world. So you know, when I see how I'm the most average person in the world. When I see how I'm being swayed and I take note of it and I really internalize it, I go, oh, this is where everyone is then. Like, you know, I'm in no way, shape, or form am I different. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm so much smarter than advertising. I don't let anything touch me. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm a human being. So I think that's why I'm so bullish on influencer marketing being the future. Ad spend isn't going to go down. Ad spend's going to go up, because they're going to be targeting nano, micro, and major influencers moving forward. as a way to get people to buy their stuff. I mean, I'm interested to hear what kind of your 2 cents on, like, you know, retargeting doesn't affect you, but does influencer marketing affect you?
No, because I'm one of those. I'm so anti-consumerism. Like, I literally will not buy unless I have a huge
Conrad
essential.
Val, huh?
I'm like the constant balance of like capitalism versus I don't give a fuck. And the reason why is like, for me, is like I don't buy at all based off other people's opinions. I don't buy at all based off of what other people are telling me. If I am going to go through the process of to kind of answer your question, if I'm going through the process of, let's say I want to buy something new, I will do my due diligence and I will check different YouTube channels I trust and different people I trust who have done proper reviews on them.
Yes.
Are those necessarily influencers of the products? Yes or no, maybe. Sometimes they are.
They might not be getting paid, but they are
influencing me in that
exactly.
in that essence. So in that case, I would say probably. They are influencing on my final decision, because when I mean, aside from like, I usually am one of those. I'm a very impulse buyer when I'm in a store, but when I'm like doing my research online, I'm very like strict on like what I'm buying, and like I make sure that I understand the final specs and everything like that, or somebody I trust. So I think it's a yes or no. But I do think that there's more value to a company partnering with a YouTube channel or an individual that has that audience, that has that trust, and that person has to also believe in your product. Because I do think this is a little final piece of advice for anybody who's trying to do influencer marketing. Do not, I repeat, do not go to an influencer and give them a check to write a post or do something about your product.
That's not going to work.
And tell them the script of what you want them to say and expect results. You are going to be very pissed off by losing a lot of money. What you should do is partner with that individual. You can give them some money up front, but give them an incentives of sales. Make sure they physically like it and let them speak about it as they will, and let them be authentic about it. If they don't like it, don't have them, just because of their audience and stuff like that, advertise it. Have it be legitimate. The best influencer deals I've ever seen in my life are the ones where they directly give either the influencer equity in their business, or they give direct royalties on all sales, not just sales that come from them, on all sales. Because you need to make it a big enough incentive,
make them partners,
that they are a partner of the idea, they're driving the idea. That's what proper influencer marketing, aka Dre Beats. That is the best example of it.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre did not invent it. There's a team of engineers that came up with it. They had a good concept of how did they make really good, solid headphones for very, very, very cheap. But in order to get that into the market,
I don't know about very cheap. They were pretty pricey.
$13.75 to make.
Oh, to make.
To make.
Okay, I thought you were talking about sell.
No, sell premium. But I'm saying is like that was their entire strategy. Is like, we have this premium quality, but we can make them for so cheap.
Yeah.
In order to get that into the market, you need somebody like Dr. Dre, who's known for that, known for premium, known for quality, to say, yes, the way that they made that deal, Dre got a good piece of the equity. Name was associated with it. They scaled the crap out of it.
He got a bunch of equity from that, didn't he?
He did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a good influencer deal. That's how you should think about influencer marketing. Think of them as a part of your business. Don't think of them as some like ad that you just like throw out there and then post about it. You're gonna fail if you do that. So that's where I think, if that's the case, that convinces more people. Like that has that buy-in. Because if it's somebody I respect, like let's say it's like,
if it's me, no
if
no
it's
go.
you and you're talking about product, I'll be like, all right, Nick, what did you talk about? We're gonna go the complete opposite route, all right? We're not going that way. But it's based off different competencies. Like, sure, if you brought up to me something about like a CPU that you were like, yeah, this is dope, I'll be like, all right, I kind of trust you, and I know you use your device to a certain extent, I'll take it with a grain of salt. But that's where that cross level kind of comes from.
100%.
And I think,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's where things are going, and what's going to actually make sales.
I have 2 notes. One is a story about when I was a salesperson for computer tablets and stuff, and then another one is to your point, for if you are influencing something, it should make sense for your brand. I'll tell the story first. So, right out of high school, I was selling computers and tablets and really all things electronics, right? And this is when like the Beats movement was like huge. So like I was hucking Beats like crazy, dude. Like the Solos, the little small earbuds that you would like replace your crappy iPhone ones with, the big ones, the Studios, even up to like we had the expensive ones that were like aluminum that cost like $500 for no, like they should not have cost that much money. And I remember I sold this. How do I preface this? When I was a salesperson, my one goal was to sell. Didn't matter who it was. I was there to sell.
You're doing sales. That is how you do sales.
And it was commission based, so I was really incentivized to sell. I sold this older person a pair of Beats Studios that did not need the Beats Studios. Just didn't need them, straight up. But she got them. She sold them, and she was just like, "Can you help me turn on the Bluetooth and figure it out?" And I was like, "Absolutely." You know, I just made, I don't know how much money at that time from you, so yes, I will help you set these things up while we wait for your computers to be ready to go get picked up.
Yeah.
And I never open it. I will never own. I don't. No, I do. I own Beat products. But this is after this packaging. Did you know that at the beginning there was like a naked woman in the packaging for Beats? Like when you took it out of the sleeve and opened it for the first time, there was a naked person on the packaging for Beats when the Beats was like first initially coming out, very first coming out. Do you know that? I had to learn that in front of this like elderly woman who like I crack it open and she was just like what is that? But in Spanish, and I was just like. I was like, I don't know. She's like, I don't want this. No, she was like, I don't want this product if it's gonna be like, if it's like selling, like, you know, sexualizing this kind of thing. And I just had to be like, oh crap, like, you
should have been like, this is a limited edition.
No, I was like, oh crap. Well, this is it. I lost the sale. But I joked around with her, and for some reason I have memories engraved in my brain about like, why the hell did Beats put a naked woman? But then again, she shouldn't have been buying those. It was for like younger kids. I'm sure they opened them up and be like, oh, check it out.
Yep.
You know. Okay, so that's that story. Stupid story, but I always think about when I think about Beats. Another story. Marquez Brownlee, arguably the biggest tech YouTuber, MKBHD. His like big thing, he's a big Tesla evangelist, kind of electric car kind of thing, but he's owned Teslas, so people know him as like, you know, someone who
can fix and
knows Teslas, understands that kind of market, and is kind of an advocate for Tesla in a way because he keeps purchasing them.
Yep.
You know, even through accidents and everything like that. And after Acura gave him an NSX for like, I think a few months during when his Tesla was like in the repair shop, and he did a partnership with Buick when they're, gosh dang it, I think
Buick just sounds like an old person's car.
It is. Like I think it's the Buick Encore. There's some new Buick came out that was like geared towards young people. It's like the GX something, like the Encore GX or something like that. And he did a so sponsored video, and I'll never forget, like, I clicked, I was like, oh, he's doing a video on the Encore GX. He's probably going to talk about how this is like, you know, he's probably going to compare it to the Tesla, and he's probably going to because that's what you think in your brain. This is, you know, Tesla, him, kind of future-centric, knows all things about like where this kind of tech is going. But no, dude, it was like, he unveiled it out of his big box, and he was just like, check it out, this is the car, pretty sick, look at all these fucking features it has, you know, touch here, touch that, check it out, whoa, real cool, whoa, real nice, and takes it for a drive, and he's like, oh, this car's really cool. And like, I've never seen a disliked video more on his YouTube channel. Is it still up? Can you check like MKBHD, like Buick, and is that video still up? I would not be surprised if it's down.
The largest daily driver unboxing?
Yes. What's the dislike on it?
So it's 115K up, 36K down.
Oh, fuck.
So it's like a
quarter.
Yeah, okay. So literally, like, check any of his other videos.
Oh yeah.
And
it's like max 1/10.
Maximum.
Dislikes, yeah.
Everything is like.
And if you look at the comments, people are just like, this is not good, dude. Like, don't ever do this again. And I think it was a learning lesson for him, because it's like, I can't imagine how much money Buick gave him.
Once he said Buick came through, I knew Marcus got a big check.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much money Buick gave him. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, you know, 50K and up for that one video.
Okay, I guarantee you that they gave him like $200,000 in a written check. Just do this video.
Yeah,
they looked at his audience. They're like, look,
how many views does it have? It's in the millions for sure, right?
2.5 mil.
Yeah.
2.5 mil. Yeah, they'd write a $200,000 check. I guarantee it, because they're like, look, just get behind this, just one video, just say it's cool, man. We just want to be relevant to the Tesla audience.
Yeah, so it was like the GX. What was it called? The Encore? Was that the car I'm thinking of?
Am
I right?
Encore GX.
Right on the money.
Buick Encore GX.
Buick Encore GX. And yeah, people hated him for like a week. Like, I don't think he published anything for like a week after that, just because like to let it die down.
Yeah.
And then which is smart, he didn't acknowledge it. He didn't speak about it. He didn't say anything about it. He just went right back to his normal posting schedule, like it never happened, and people forgot about it, which is what you should do. It's the Barbra Streisand effect. If you bring it up, people will, you know, people. Yeah, that's a thing. The Barbra Streisand effect is a thing. If you try to say something shouldn't be on the internet, try to get rid of it or something like that, or acknowledge that
you end up on South Park and you're screwed.
Exactly. So no, yeah, that to me is like the biggest. Look at that as an example of like why you shouldn't just give money to an influencer and have it go that way. Are you looking at the Barbra Streisand effect? Yeah, there was this video of her house.
Social phenomenon that occurs when an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information has the unintended consequences of further publicizing that information.
Yeah. Well, like I didn't honestly, I didn't even know like who Barbra Streisand really was until South Park. No,
really?
It was a really funny thing because I was just like, I don't know who this person is, right? That is South Park. Then I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my
yeah, the way she did it is hilarious. Bad for her, but funny. Now there's a.
What exactly happened?
If I'm not mistaken,
It involves her house.
Yeah, either she was selling her house, or someone took a picture of her house, like showing like how massive it was during like something that was happening financially with her, and she got her legal team to try and erase the photograph from the internet. Like, she literally was just like, I want you to strike any blog or anyone that talks about this down. So then people were just like, Barbra Streisand just like threatened to sue me if I don't delete this photograph and this blog post. And then more people started talking about it, and then it just blew up, and she couldn't control it anymore.
I think
that's the Barbra Streisand effect.
I think South Park was the catalyst, to be honest. Like, when you end up on South Park, you messed up. Like, let's be honest here. South Park is the epitome of
it's true.
You messed up.
It's like The Simpsons. If you end up on South Park or The Simpsons, you know you've made it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In a good or a bad way.
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking like you're saying, if you're gonna get into influencer marketing, unless you're trying to pump into crypto, don't just toss money at somebody.
Jeez.
And
how's your Doge doing, by the way?
Oh, it's gone, dude.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I have friends that still have faith in it. I'm like, please don't.
No. No, it's where do you think the Tesla's coming from, baby?
Down payment, baby. It's all Doge.
Down payment on the Tesla, baby. I think you got to be smart about it, and I think you have to know who your audience is, and then just don't be stupid when it comes like it's like so many big companies at the beginning when display advertisement was like huge. When it first was like, oh, everyone's looking at display ads, toss. Like, the only metric that mattered was impressions.
Yeah, so sad.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like it's the same mentality, that is idiotic when it comes to like newspapers and like billboards. So, I mean, I'm sure you know this, but I think newspaper advertisements is absolutely stupid unless it's in like the New York Times, the LA Times,
or really niche, or really niche to what you're doing.
Yeah, or really niche, but it has to be on a really big thing, and it can't just be like a little rinky-dink.
Got to be a whole page.
Exactly, it has to be a full pager, and it has to let people know what's up. Like, that's cool. Do that, because that puts an impression. But if it's just gonna be like a tiny little square, if it's just like, check out this watch, I don't know, like Movado, and no, it's not gonna track it, and then you get these stupid things, dude. I will never forget when I was working marketing for the San Bernardino School District. We had the company that owns, what's the company called? The company that owns the Sun, the Redlands Daily Fax, the San Bernardino Daily Fax, Riverside Daily Fax, like all these daily fax in the area. They came to us with a marketing proposal because we asked for a quote. For billboard, and also for the computer just kicked up right now. She's angry.
Yeah.
They heard just like, how dare you down talk that company, and billboard ads. So billboard newspaper ads, and these people had the audacity, dude, to be like, just the pricing was stupid. It didn't make any sense because they were pricing per impression, right? And their price per impression was like something like $3 an impression. And they were saying that they could get like throughout the entire course of of the campaign that the paper would run it and the billboard would be up, they'd get us over 1 million impressions, right?
So it's a $3 million bid.
Basically, it wasn't that big. But here's why, because the bid wasn't that high. So we asked them, what are you using to get these metrics?
Yeah.
You know, and they said, the people who are directly purchasing the newspapers, that we count that as a metric. Every newspaper sold, we count it as a metric, right? On top of that, we get free advertising because some people don't pay for newspapers. Some people go to a restaurant that has newspapers and they pick it up. And then, I kid you not, it goes further on. And then they were like, some people even will be on like public transportation. They would tell us this, or be at a restaurant and they would glance over. Like if you're reading a newspaper, right, big old newspaper, and you're looking, and on the back of the newspaper, what you're reading is here, but on the back of it is our advertisement for Valley College. You are an impression for that advertisement, even though all you can see it is in the distance. So once they told us that, we said, all right, cool, peace. Like we're not doing it. We got billboards and we got buses and stuff like that because it's a college, and that's kind of part of the course. But dude, what I'll never forget, like, and that's what display ads are.
Yep.
For the most part, not search ads. I think display ads are kind of a little bit better because you can still touch on some stuff. But search ads, display ads, more display ads than anything. But like display ads that count on impressions, are idiotic as a metric, because it's like if I was to pump $10,000 into a display ad, I could get over 1 million views on that display ad if I have it running for a month or two.
Yep.
Easy. Not even hard. And I could go to my boss and say, hey, check it out. Like, look at that. 1 million people saw your thing in that rad. And they'd be like, wow, that's really cool. How many sales did we get? And I'd be like, I'm like 15. It's like, so you're telling me that out of the 1 million people that saw this ad, 15 people were the ones that actually ended up getting it, which would bring it down to, what is that, a 0.000, I don't know, 0.001, tiny, minuscule, where it's like, all you have to do was just care, make a really targeted ad, spend $1,000 on it, a tenth of the price, and you would probably still get those 15 sales.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where like marketing has evolved from toss as much money as you can to get impressions to create a very centralized, very niche market that we're targeting with less money but more direct money. And to me, at least, the only thing that makes more sense now is to go even denser and to go after people who are influential within your niche market, advertise to those people and tell them, hey, have you ever heard about our product? Would you ever consider using our product? We'd love to give you access to our product. Don't have to write a review. Don't have to do anything for us, but we'd love to give it to you for free.
Yep.
You give it to them, let them, if they're a content creator, they're going to make a video on it.
Yep.
Because they need to make videos. That's how they get their livelihood. If you give them something, they might not make a video of just that product unless they really like it or unless they really hate it. But they might make a video where they make, my top 5 everyday carry gadgets, and it's like, I have, here's my, this is my quarter leather and company hook that I have that I use to clip onto my pants, but also it's a bottle opener, so I'm always ready to party. It's like this, people huck this thing like crazy. Getting those kind of people, giving those products, and it's like, that's part of my everyday carry. This is what I use. Now that I'm again, did I tell you that I'm getting a Tesla? Now that I'm getting a Tesla, I'm looking up a lot more videos on it now because there's a lot of weirdness of the car that you need to get like little things for it. And now I'm finding these YouTube channels and these blogs and these websites that cater specifically to Tesla people.
Yep.
And even more specifically, there's people who cater to Model Ys. And that has been like my source of information for the better part of this last like kind of week or so. It's about a week. And I will for sure trust those blogs, those people, these influencers who maybe got the product for free or bought it themselves, over, insert whatever third party is making a Tesla product, and just trying to sell it to me, because those people have tried it, have used it, have verified that it works. in one way, shape, or form. And more often than not, you could smell the bullshit. Like I've seen some videos where they only talk about that one thing, and they're like, oh, it's so great, it's fantastic, it's the best. It's like, oh, this is the only thing you'll ever need in the world, and you just go, no, this is way too positive. There's not one bad thing about this product. Like even your favorite thing in the world, like your favorite product that you own, there's always going to be one bad thing about it, like forever and always. So yeah, it's one of those things. You find it's going to get denser, I think, and it's going to become more influencer focused. And that to me just makes the most sense, honestly.
So let me take everything that you explained in the last 15 minutes and put it into 3 words.
Yeah.
Word of mouth. That's where the future's going. It's where it started. It's going right back to it. But I think we tied in pretty well. Everything when it comes to cookieless, everything that comes to data privacy, what that means, where things are going, some advice we have. I mean, our own personal kind of experience when it comes to these things. But yeah, I mean, the only way to find out is to see, and then obviously kind of see how these trends go and how we kind of put them all together. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, word of mouth marketing has always and always will be
the best
form of marketing. So if you don't understand how to create word of mouth marketing, figure it out, because otherwise you are screwed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't. Okay, I'll take back my 100%. I don't think you're screwed if you can't figure out word of mouth marketing. But if you do figure it out, you're gonna be around for a long time.
Yeah, you're gonna spend a lot more money than you have to. That's kind of where I'm kind of getting at. It doesn't allow that organic growth. But
that was a GoPro. GoPro didn't advertise because everyone's posting all their cool videos.
Yeah, GoPro didn't have to advertise.
At the
Red Bull's entire marketing mix has been focused externally from running ads. Now they do a little bit of ads here and there, but they're very minimal on it. They did have that whole Red
Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, Red Bull gives you wings campaign. But other than that, they didn't really spend a lot of money on ads. They focus more on like extreme sports and sponsorships and doing crazy stunts, like jumping off of like the biggest like
the flute togs or whatever they're called.
Like they just do crazy stuff.
Yeah. Tesla doesn't spend money on advertising.
Yep.
And they're super of just the amount of overvalued that they are. You talk about overhyped.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
But it's still finding mechanisms to make people talk about something, and that at the end of the day is always going to subsede any kind of ads. But I hope you learned a little bit about cookies, not the cookies we like, but actual cookies on the web, digital world.
Yeah, you're getting tracked always and forever. And there's also scores. That's the fun part. Companies have scores about how good of a buyer you are. Yeah. And that will also affect your wait times when you call into the customer service center.
And discounts you get, and there's a lot of other fundamentals to it.
It's true.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode. I hope you gained some knowledge for today, and make sure to tune in.
Yeah.
Next week we'll obviously have a break for the 4th of July weekend, and then we'll get back into it right after that. But thank you for everybody for tuning in. That's it for today's brew.